All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is really an employee that is complaining. And you know what? One thing I can honestly say, my last job, we had 7,700 employees. It was a pretty, it would be considered large, And the thing is, when you have that amount of people, I don't understand why employers can't be more flexible. People need time for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes you may have to deal with your children under certain circumstances. You may be taking care of an elderly parent. You may be dealing with a spouse that is sick. I worked with a couple of people there. They had a spouse that was terminally ill. And you also may be ill occasionally yourself, or, and a couple of times people got into accidents coming or going from work and they had to be out. And I know one woman they did real dirty. She was out for an accident that she had, and she came back, and shortly after she came back they fired her, you know but I think if America would have been flexible with the workers from day one, you probably would have retained the majority of your workforce, and you would not be looking at such a big worker shortage. The worker shortage is because after the lockdown, a lot of people just did not want to go back into the office. They wanted to work from home. There were a lot of people that were tired earlier than normal. Some people were going to work. I was reading some of the articles. A few people were going to work another 5 or 10 years before retiring. But when the lockdown happened and their employers, many of them would not be flexible, so they ended up retiring early. And remember, the baby boomers are still the biggest group out here in America, and a lot of them are now much more up in age. So when they leave jobs, those jobs are not going to always be filled right away. And you still got the struggle of people that don't want to go back to the office and bosses that want them back in the office. So it is so much going on out here. It's not one thing, it's really a lot of things that are playing into the worker shortage in America. Not to mention, one of the biggest complaints, because I go out there and see so many articles every day, is the pay. The wages have never kept up with the cost of living. You can't have this kind of inflation in America and you're still paying somebody $8 an hour. You're not going to make it on that. And now that rent is through the roof and food is through the roof, and yeah, the gas prices have come down, but don't get too excited about that. The holidays are coming. And as soon as the holiday, it gets closer and closer to the holidays, they're going to jack that mess right back up. So, this is a woman that threatened to quit because what was happening is her company kept scheduling her to work on the weekends all by herself. And she wanted time off on the weekends, which she would have normally had, but because they were so shorthanded, they had her working every single weekend by herself. And no matter how much she tried to work with her employer, they kept ignoring her and putting her on the weekends anyway. So they had no respect for her time. She did not like working alone on the weekends, and it's turned into a big problem. So she said, I am a woman of my word. A worker threatens to quit on Post It if she gets scheduled to work weekends by herself. Her workplace does it again. So they totally ignored her. So, according to a survey conducted in 2019 by the San Diego Center on Policy Initiatives, over 85% of survey participants faced unpredictable scheduling practices implemented by employers, with the number rising to 95% among food service, grocery, and retail workers. I've experienced something like that, but not quite this bad. But I have experienced when I needed time off, and they almost act funny about it, and it, I ended up getting the time off. But, some of these employers, you just don't know. Unpredictable scheduling can take many forms. So, as a worker, received their schedule less than, this person gets their schedule and they have less than 2 weeks notice by the management that do the scheduling, and she was getting a lot of pressure to be there on the weekend by herself. Okay, so another aspect of unpredictable scheduling is ignoring employees' requests. If an employee requests their schedule be changed to accommodate their time in school or personal life, employers are often able to simply disregard these requests, putting their employees into uncomfortable and occasionally compromising positions academically, socially, and in the worst case scenario, physically. TikToker Bella, I don't know what I am here for, who works for food service, recently went viral after sharing her story on being ignored requests to no longer work alone on the weekends. All right. So you can see the notes that she posted. So the note explains that if she is scheduled to work weekends alone again, she will quit. And she was saying that she has been scheduled 5 weekends in a row, working alone, all by herself. And so, despite this, her employer allegedly does schedule her to work a weekend alone again for the fifth time in a row. And, she's saying that she is a woman of her word. So, she showed up to work, but she was not happy. She was not happy at all. And depending on how busy things are, you don't want to be working by yourself at a location, especially for food or retail, by yourself. Oh, man. Mm-mm-mm. So, commoners were supportive of Bella, with many saying that they would not have offered the employer the courtesy of a 2 week notice. But she did give him a 2 week notice because she said she had enough. You're nice, wrote one user. I would have simply walked out the day I was scheduled alone. I would have just quit, another said. They don't give you a 2 week notice for firing you. No, they sure don't. Others shared their own work experience. One person said they had them working alone a 12-hour shift at a gas station. Oh my goodness. And she says, I'm a 5 foot, 110-pound female. And she said she flipped out about it, and it really didn't do her any good. Her employer did not care that they scheduled her for a 12-hour shift alone at a gas station. Mm-mm-mm. So, okay. So, another person said they ended up quitting their job for the same thing. They were being scheduled alone on their job, and they quit. And, this person had a husband and a baby, and their husband, was supportive and said they didn't really have to go back out there and work. Another person said it happened to them as well. and they quit their job and they're now working at a bank. And they said that happened to me, and I just walked out because I was tired of working 6 days by myself and not getting much help at all, explained a third person. We've reached out to Bella via Instagram direct message, I guess just for further comment. But if you have experienced that, please let me know. You know, look, that has happened to me before. I was in a different job, and it must have been back in the late 90s, and it had snowed. But I managed to make it up to work, and my entire group did not come in. I ended up working that day by myself, and that was rough. That was rough. And you got to understand, because there is a worker shortage, these employers don't care what situation they put you in. That's why so many people are doing what's called quiet quitting. Quiet quitting just means that you're going to do your job and you're not going to take on any extra responsibility. You know, that's why you see so much of that out here, because people have been dogged out badly on these jobs, especially lately. But y'all, please tell me what you think and let me know if something like this has happened to you. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.